and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is Teddy, and today we're going to be talking about the function, or functionality, or FUNC, or Func MS-3 gaming mouse, or ergonomic gaming mouse. So this one will be quite interesting, so I have it right here. And the first thing you'll notice is it is quite large. This is a big gaming mouse. But we'll start off first with the specs like always. So sensor-wise, it's coming with the Avago ADNS 9500. It has 512 kilobytes of onboard storage. DPI, so you can go from 90 all the way up to 5,670 DPI, so that's pretty good, and that's definitely enough. Has a report rate of up to 1,000 Hertz, this is adjustable. Connections wise, just a gold plated 2 meter long USB with a braided cable. Now dimensions is coming in at 126.9 millimeters by 100 millimeters by 42 millimeters. For those of you that want that in inches, that's 4.99 inches by 3.9 inches by 1.6 inches. And net weight wise is coming in at 127 grams, and there's no adjustable weighting in it, but we'll talk about that a bit later. So it features their ergonomically designed grip intelligence, for whatever that means. It has a snipe button down the bottom, or they're calling it the instant aim button. You can carry your settings with you due to the onboard memory. Advanced macro editor records up to 20 actions live. Customizable LED light system, which we'll also talk about a bit later. And they're claiming it's built to last with only the best components available, which is quite a bold claim. Now let's talk about their looks first, and I don't know about you guys, but looks wise I wasn't very impressed. So it's all black, which we've talked about this before, and I don't particularly have a huge problem with companies just making their peripherals matte black. I mean, it means it goes with everything, but it does come off a bit plain. I think people are getting a little bit bored of it, at least I am. But it does have the lighting on the scroll wheel and on the snipe button, and a little bit of lighting, kind of orange lighting, for your DPI setting on your profile. Now it looks really fat, and so I don't think it looks very good. It's kind of, yeah, I don't like fat looking mice that much. And yeah, this one definitely doesn't look very good, especially from the bottom. I mean, you're not actually going to be looking at it from the bottom, but I mean, yeah, no, not that good. So its hand-shaped design doesn't really appeal to me that much. But yeah, not a lot of ergonomic mice do actually look that good. And aside from that, it just looks very, very basic overall for a gaming mouse. You know, like, and it's not because it's very cheap either. I mean, the G502 and stuff and G302 are all cheaper than this, and by, you know, quite a decent amount in some cases. And there's other ones, plenty of other ones too, that look a lot better than this. So yeah, it just looks a bit too basic for me. But I don't know, that's just my opinion, and it's not that bad, but it's not good either. So I'd just say it's just completely average as far as looks go in terms of what it does for me. Now, comfort wise, so obviously due to that design though, it's made for to be ergonomic, to fit your hand very well and be very comfortable. So this is made just for a right hand grip only, as you can probably tell already, and for a palm grip only. So if you have a claw grip, then there's no point getting this, which is a pretty obvious thing, but yeah, some people might not know that. It's made for large hands as well, so for big hands like mine, that's perfect. But if you're if you got smaller hands, or if you're a girl, you're probably, with small hands that is, you're probably not going to like it at all. I gave this to my girlfriend to try, and she said it just felt way too big in her hands. For me, it felt fine, but yeah, you can understand it. It just feels much too big for people with small hands. So definitely made for people with large hands. But as far as comfort goes, it does take a while to get used to it, but it is very comfortable. Once you do get used to it, just resting your hand on it, it just feels really nice. It's just very comfortable to use. Your hand doesn't get tired. The material is also quite grippy, so it's quite comfortable in that sense. The button placement also feels very natural and very easy. You know, you're not having to stretch your fingers too far, so it doesn't feel uncomfortable in that sense. And weight-wise, as we said earlier, you can't add additional weights, which some people might say is like a big drawback. But honestly, this is one of the few gaming mice out there that feels like they got the weight perfect. You know, just a really good balance, to me anyways, just from the factory. So I was quite impressed in that area. Moving on now to accuracy and sensitivity, talking about that Avago sensor. And it was fantastic. So probably what a lot of you were expecting. There's just a load of adjustment as well, which we will get into a bit later when we talk about the software. But yeah, so really good in that sense. The factory settings though were very conservative, at least on my one, so that needed to be changed pretty quick, but as I said, we'll talk about software a bit later. Now for some reason, it didn't seem to slide very well, you know, these pads at the bottom. I don't know what it was, it just felt very grippy, and when you slide it would kind of like move easily, then be a bit kind of harder to move, and it made it very jerky, you know, not smooth at all to use. And before you say, oh, it's because you're using a Razer mouse pad, it's not my mouse pad. I tried it with my girlfriend's mouse pad, which is a SteelSeries one, and it felt the same. So, and I tried it with a backup one I have, and it just didn't feel smooth. This just might be bad luck in the one I got, but it didn't feel smooth at all to me on all the mouse pads I tried it on. So maybe that's just me and I was unlucky, but yeah, for me anyways, it didn't feel smooth at all, which is really bad because it is such a good sensor in it. But then when you're playing especially first-person shooter games and you're trying to, you know, aim or something like that, it would end up being very jerky, and it kind of got annoying sometimes. So, but again, that might just be my case. And the on-the-fly DPI adjustment and indicators are always a good thing. I really like that, because some people like me like switching between DPI between different games, well, game types that is. Now, buttons and the scroll wheel. So it has 8 customizable buttons, excluding obviously the left and right click. I just left them on their stock settings though. So this one up the top here by the right click, that's just a profile change. So it'll just run through the 3 different profiles you have. These 2 here are just DPI. So setting your DPI and your different settings up and down. And that's that has the indicators here. Then these 2 buttons are just forward and back like normal. This button down here was quite good. So this was a mute button, so it would just mute everything. At first I thought, that's a bit strange, but as I started getting used to it a bit more, I saw that it is quite good in the sense that you could be playing a game, for example, and then someone, you know, like you might be wearing headphones or even just with your speakers, and someone's trying to talk to you or something like that, and you can just hit that button and then you can hear what they're saying, and then as soon as they're done talking and you're finished replying to them or whatever, then you just press the button and go back in. So there is it's a nice addition. It's something new new for me anyways. I've never used something else. I had a button set to that from stock. And then just the snipe button, which is just pretty standard. You can set that to drop it down to whatever you like. So basically when you hit that button, it'll just drop the DPI right down to help you make snipe type shots when you're zoomed in first-person shooter games, mostly, although I always tend to forget to use it, so yeah, it's not too much of a big deal for me. Now, as I said before, the button placement was fantastic, no complaints here at all, everything was very easy to reach, and nothing felt too far away, even on a big mouse like this. The scroll wheel was awesome, just a lot of tactile feel. That went for all of the buttons as well, aside from the right and left click mouse. They just felt really good. The scroll wheel, as I said, it seems like a lot of companies have trouble getting it right, and in this sense it was done perfectly, you know, so very good scroll wheel. Now the right and left click buttons have a lot of travel, maybe a bit too much travel for my taste, so, but they're still pretty good. I mean, yeah, it's not a very big complaint, just a minor complaint there. So I'd probably give them maybe like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 as far as that goes. Moving on now to the software, and the software was pretty straightforward. It's fairly easy to use, although it does look quite basic. Now, setting up the DPI, like getting all your sensitivity and everything, is very easy, very straightforward. Just use the sliders. Some of the stock settings, the defaults, are very conservative, and some of them quite strange. Like the report rate set to 250 hertz rather than 1000 hertz, like I would always, assume it would be set at. But yeah, so there's that. Aside from setting up the DPI, the button assignment is also very easy to use, and the color setting is basic, but it's still, there's not much really to change on it. So you can set, so if you want it to pulsate or just stay normal, and then they have sliders to set the different RGB colors that you want. But it's not confusing at all. It's very straightforward. You could do it all very easy. Corsair could learn a thing or two about that. The macro editor is, though, it could be fixed pretty easily with an update, but from standard, I just thought it was meh. And the software, the big downside though, was the software was really slow, which is something I've never encountered before. So when you click, when you make any adjustments, they don't just, happen. You have to click apply first, and then it takes a while for them to actually apply. I think it's because it's setting them to the onboard memory, which it does make sense, but it just feels strange after using all these other softwares where everything's instant. So, but it's not really that much of a that much of an issue, because if you were using the software all the time, you get used to it pretty quick, and it doesn't take that long. But just for me personally, because I bounce around all these different peripheral software all the time, it just came off as a little bit funny. So, in conclusion, what do I think? So looks-wise, it only looks okay to me. It's pretty fat. It doesn't look bad, but it looks kind of basic. And yeah, I don't think it looks particularly good. However, that fatness makes it look bad, but it makes it very comfortable in the hand. And the design overall, how it may not be appealing looks-wise, is very comfortable. So comfort-wise and in terms of ergonomics, it is very good. And they set out to do that as kind of like the main goal, and they've definitely achieved it. The Avago sensor is awesome to use. 5,670 max DPI is also tons, so that should be plenty for everybody. My one didn't slide very well. As I said before, it didn't matter what mouse pad it was on, so that kind of ruined the good sensor in a lot of ways. But I'm not sure particularly if that was just my one that I have, or if that's something that a lot of people are running into. But yeah, for my one, it didn't feel too good in that sense. The button placement overall was very good. The scroll wheel was fantastic, so, definitely happy there. And the left and right click were pretty good for the most part. A bit too much travel, but that's not really the end of the world. The RGB lighting is pretty basic. A lot of people just don't care about RGB lighting or lighting in general, so yeah, it's not too big of an issue. But it comes off as kind of like an afterthought. Like they looked at it and were like, man, this is like way too basic. We got to spice it up somehow. And they said, well, let's add a bit of lighting, RGB lighting to the scroll wheel and the snipe button. And so they chucked it on there. But yeah, that's just kind of how it comes off to me. Now the software is very straightforward. Customization of, the sensitivity in that is all very easy. Button customization is all very easy. The macro editor could use a bit of improvement, and they could also speed it up a bit as it comes off a little bit slow, the software. Price wise, I think it's a tad expensive for what it is, although yeah, that's just my opinion. Some people think it's fine where it is. It's definitely not too expensive, like much too expensive, but just a little bit from my point of view. And overall, it's just a good gaming mouse, but only for certain people I would recommend it for. Obviously you have to be right-handed, like using a palm grip, and have large hands, which is going to, limit people who are going to be using it. So I definitely wouldn't recommend it to everybody. But those who have big hands that want an ergonomic gaming mouse, then this should do you very, very well. So in terms of comfort, it is definitely going to be the one for you. And in terms of games, for me personally, the game I felt like it felt the most suited to, but this is just a personal opinion, it was first-person shooters, but that is just my personal opinion. I played it in plenty of other games as well, and it felt just fine. And that's going to round out this review of the MS MS-3 revision 2, an ergonomic gaming mouse, but only for certain people. Now, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, because there's going to be more GPU showdowns coming in the future, so you definitely want to be subscribed so you catch them as soon as they drop. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.